Late at night, Zhu Qi was cuddled tightly by her husband Shikai from behind, and the atmosphere between them was ambiguous and intimate. Just as the tender moment lingered, her mobile phone vibrated suddenly. A private video was sent by her best friend Wang Jia out of the blue. In the video, Wang Jia was lingering intimately with a man who shared exactly the same facial features as Shikai. Identical eyebrows, high nose bridge, and a unique mole at the corner of his mouth. Along with the explicit video came frivolous and provocative words. Wang Jia teased blatantly, complimenting the man's figure and mocking Zhou Qi in a hidden tone. A chill swept over Zhu Qi's whole body in an instant. An overwhelming horror seized her heart. She panicked and locked her phone immediately to avoid the awkward content being seen. Shikai noticed her sudden strangeness. He leaned closer, trying to check her message with curiosity. His tone was lazy and possessive. He kept acting intimately, nipping and biting her neck softly. His gentle eyes also carried an indescribable strange sense of oppression, making Zhu Qi's hair stand on end. She forced herself to calm down and mumbled an excuse, claiming it was just spam messages. Deep down, she was trapped in extreme confusion and fear. She made an excuse to turn on the light abruptly and observed the husband beside her carefully. Every facial feature and his iconic mole were perfectly identical to the sheik she had lived with for years. There was no doubt that this man was her real husband. Yet every subtle movement and unique verbal habit the man in the video had when he was emotional were exclusive to Shikai. Such fine details could never be forged by AI synthesis. For a long time, Shikai had grown increasingly cold towards her. He kept emotional distance all year round, refused intimate contact and slept separately. Only on this special night did he take the initiative to be extraordinarily warm and passionate. His abnormal behavior amplified Zhu Qi's inner doubt step by step. She fled to the bathroom on the pretext of using the restroom and watched the indecent videos and aggressive chat messages sent by Wang Jia repeatedly. All details were extremely realistic without any trace of forgery. Wang Jia had always been a woman with flawed character. She was fired for having an affair with her superior. After Zhu Qi introduced her to a new job, she seduced Zhu Qi's senior colleague and destroyed another person's family without remorse. From the beginning of their relationship, Shikai had always held deep disgust for Wang Jia. He reminded Zhu Qi countless times to stay away from this scheming, vain and selfish woman, and complained about Wang Jia's poor conduct on multiple occasions. Logically, Shikai would never have any entanglements with Wang Jia. However, the ironclad evidence in the video was right in front of her eyes. And the sharp contradiction completely shattered Zhu Qi's psychological defense. After returning to the bedroom, Wang Jia's provocation continued unabated. She kept sending vulgar content to Tansu Qi, mocking her for failing to keep her husband and declaring arrogantly that Shikai belonged to her completely now. Soon after, another more explicit video was delivered. The exclusive catchphrases Shikai used in intimate moments were perfectly reproduced, completely shattering Zhu Qi's last trace of self-comfort. When she was on the verge of mental collapse, Shikai woke up gently and pretended to comfort her with tender words. He showed intense hatred and anger towards Wang Jia, condemning her for sowing discord and framing others. He tried his best to shape the image of a dedicated and responsible husband, who only had his wife in his heart. Looking at the sincere expression and sincere protection in his eyes, Zhu Qi calmed down temporarily and suppressed her growing suspicions. The crisis was far from over. Xu Ran, her elder sister, made an urgent phone call in a flustered tone. She told Zhu Qi that she was waiting in ambush at Wang Jia's door and had witnessed Shikai entering the room with Wang Jia with her own eyes. The cheating scandal was confirmed. She urged Zhu Qi to rush to the scene immediately to confront the two wrongdoers. Zhu Qi was utterly stunned. Shikai had never left the bedroom all night. His steady breathing and normal body temperature proved that he was a real living person, and it was impossible for him to appear in two places at the same time. She answered the call immediately, and Wang Ji's sneering laughter came clearly from the other end of the line. Meanwhile, another cold and ruthless voice of Shijia echoed through the phone. He announced publicly that he would divorce Ki without hesitation, complaining endlessly about being restricted and controlled in marriage, and claiming that he only wanted to be with Wang Jia for the rest of his life. Crushed by double blows, Ki trembled uncontrollably. The mystery of the double haunted her endlessly. She checked her husband over and over again, touching his skin and measuring his body temperature to confirm that he was not a dummy or disguised imposter. Nevertheless, the voice, tone and behavioral habits of the man on the phone were undeniably Shikai's. She fell into deep confusion, unable to figure out why two identical versions of her husband existed in the world. Moments later, Zhu Ran rushed to her home in person and dragged Ki forcefully to Wang Ji, as residents to catch the cheating couple red-handed. To her shock, the Shikai who had been lying on the bed just now vanished out of thin air, leaving the empty bedroom without a trace, making the whole incident extremely weird and horrifying. On the way, Ki received a call from another Shikai. His tone was aggrieved and drawn, saying that he only went to the balcony for a cigarette and never stepped out of the house. However, halfway through the call, the signal suddenly cut off, replaced by harsh current noise, adding a strong sense of eeriness to the whole incident. After arriving at Wang Jia's apartment, her brother-in-law had guarded the door for a long time, confirming that no one had entered or left the room during the whole period. As the door opened, the messy scene came into view. Clothes were scattered all over the living room and bedroom, and ambiguous odors filled the air, revealing the absurd and immoral affair. Shikai walked out of the bedroom with his upper body bare, covered in scratch marks. His appearance and unique facial moles were exactly the same. Facing Ki, he was cold, indifferent and utterly unrepentant. He admitted his cheating blatantly, stating that he had long been tired of their marriage and had planned the divorce for a long time to pursue his so-called freedom. His Shikai staying with Wang Jia was cold, selfish and heartless, denying all their past feelings. In sharp contrast, the Shikai staying at home was gentle, doting and considerate. The huge gap made the cruel truth that once there were two identical Shikai in this world. Ignoring her sister's obstruction, she ran all the way home in a state of collapse. Sure enough, the tender husband was sitting quietly in the living room waiting for her return, full of concern and worry about her safety. He was a completely different person from the cold cheater. In the dead of night, the gentle Shikai finally confessed his earth-shattering secret to Ki. He was a version of Shikai who traveled through time from the year 2029. In his original timeline, he insisted on divorcing Ki and married Wang Jia without hesitation. However, their married life turned into a complete disaster. Wang Jia was lazy, extravagant and morally corrupt. She squandered all their savings in a short time and cheated on him repeatedly after marriage to satisfy her selfish desires. Trapped in endless torture and depression, Shikai suffered from terminal illness and fell into complete despair. In a fit of raging madness, he killed Wang Jia in cold blood and planned to end his own life. At the moment of despair, he accidentally obtained the chance of time travel. Crossing the long river of time, he returned to the past, harboring only one wish to prevent the tragic ending: cherish Ki who truly loved him, and redeem his doomed fate. The future Shikai cried and confessed his deep regret. He finally realized that the freedom he had craved for years was nothing but a living hell. He hoped to reverse all mistakes through time travel and grasp the sincere happiness he had abandoned recklessly. After learning the whole truth, Ki was overwhelmed with mixed emotions. Even though he was a remorseful future version, she could not easily forgive the fact of his cheating and betrayal. She chose to stay alone to sort out her thoughts and rejected his desperate attempts to reconcile. Soon after, the magnetic field of time and space fluctuated violently. The future Shikai, who traveled across time, disappeared silently and returned to his original doomed timeline, leaving Ki alone to bear all the shocking secrets and pain. Just as the bizarre turmoil seemed to subside, the real-world Shikai broke into her home in a furious rage with fierce hostility. It turned out that the future Shikai had approached him privately, warning him to stay away from Wang Jia, cherish his wife, and warning him of his tragic future of crime, illness and self-destructs. However, the realistic Shikai was determined to divorce. He dismissed all the prophecies as absurd lies and accused Kiki of mental instability. He believed that she fabricated the time travel story and even made human skin masks to intimidate him. His disgust for Kiki reached its peak, and he insisted on cutting off all relations, complaining about the suffocating constraints in marriage and craving unrestrained freedom. Bursting with long-suppressed grievance and anger, Kiki slapped Shikai hard and proposed a decisive divorce without hesitation. Her sister and brother-in-law arrived in time to stop the furious Shikai and prevent the conflict from escalating into violence. Both sides held firm attitudes with no room for reconciliation. They went through divorce procedures at the Civil Affairs Bureau soon after. Ironically, on the very day of the divorce, Shikai registered his marriage with Wang Jia in a hurry. The two flaunted their love arrogantly and mocked Kiki deliberately, reveling in their hard-won freedom and new life. Kiki chose to let go calmly. She bid farewell to the painful past fearlessly, focused on her own life, and completely cut off contact with the vicious couple. Even when Shikai and Wang Jia frequently posted sweet photos on social media to provoke and satirize her, she remained indifferent and never bothered to respond. Time passed quickly. In just half a year, their marriage was riddled with irreconcilable rifts. Frequent quarrels and cold wars became daily routines, and everyone around them predicted that their deformed relationship would collapse soon. In the end, every prophecy came true as scheduled. The year 2029 arrived. Wang Jia never changed her selfish nature and cheated on her husband again, completely crushing Shikai's last glimmer of hope. Devoured by despair and hatred, Shikai repeated the same tragedy. He killed Wang Jia in a rage and ended his own life, falling into the doomed abyss he could never escape. All the efforts and regrets of the future time-traveling Shikai were in vain. No matter how hard he tried to warn and change the past, he could not shake the stubborn choices and greedy nature of the realistic Shikai. Obsession and desire ultimately lead him to destruction. Having foreseen this ending long ago, Kiki accepted everything peacefully. She stayed away from toxic people and painful memories, held tight to her own peace and freedom, and embraced a brand new life full of hope.